Hello, everyone, and welcome to a horribly nerdy podcast, the podcast that's so bad, horrible isn't its name. And on this podcast, we talk about horror movies, comic books, the paranormal, video games, and much more. And today we're continuing our 80s and 90s Shlockathon. I should say monster Shlockathon, because that's pretty much what I've been watching is monster movies. And I have to tell you about a gem I discovered recently, and I absolutely loved this film. And I'm talking about 1991's The Boneyard. The only thing I ever saw of this movie before was a mutant giant poodle-looking monster. That's the only thing I saw was a screen grab of that. I had no idea what it was from. I just remember seeing that image and I was like, "What is this?" So I can't remember if it was on YouTube or TikTok or something. I just remember seeing just a quick little glimpse screen grab of that, and I was like, "What movie is that?" And then I just happened to come across it when I was looking up monster movies, and I found out it was from this film, The Boneyard. And so I was like, all right, I got to see this. And this turned out to be, whoa, so much better than I thought it was going to be. It gets a lot of shit, which I don't know why. It is a little bit slow in the beginning, but when it picks up, and it's fantastic. I was all about this fucking movie. It honestly, it blew my mind. So basically, we get this coroner who ends up being arrested because he's hiding the bodies of these 3 children, and so they're trying to figure out who the children are. So we have a grizzled detective, his young partner. They're looking for this burnt out, down and out psychic that the grizzled old detective usually works with. She's had enough. She doesn't want to do this anymore because the detective uses her a lot to find missing children, and 90% of the time, unfortunately, they find the children dead, and she just can't live with that anymore because the children's death keeps replaying over and over in her mind, so she's burnt out. But he convinces her one last time, one last case, and they go down to the morgue, which they call the Boneyard. Well, it turns out that the coroner that was arrested was in charge of keeping an eye on these ancient evil spirits that have possessed these children and turned them into zombie-like creatures. And it goes off the wall from there, and it was awesome. The practical effects for this film blew me away. Like, I had no idea what was coming, and I thought they were really, really good. They were done really well. There's a scene where a young woman is brought in who committed suicide. I think it was electric. Yeah, I think she dropped a toaster in the bathtub, and they start to cut into her to do the autopsy, and she wakes up and freaks out. And so they didn't do a good job making sure she was dead. So then she joins the crew that has to fight for survival. There's a couple good gore spots, not a ton, but there is some really good gore spots. And the creatures, the zombie children creatures things, those were really cool. They did a good job with that. And of course, the giant mutant poodle thing that eventually you see, that thing was pretty cool too. There's also a character that ends up being possessed, and when you see that transformation, I thought that was fantastic. That was some really cool practical effects, and that thing haunted my dreams for a couple days. The VHS rental came with 2 boxes, one promoting it as a horror and one as a comedy, which was a yellow poodle box. The comedy box slips right over the horror box. The producers first sought rocker Alice Cooper and actor Clu Gallagher for key roles. Director James Cummins asked Phyllis Diller to appear on screen without wearing one of her trademark wigs. And Phyllis Diller plays a character called Miss Poopinplots, and if that's not the greatest fucking character name I've ever heard, I don't want to hear another one. She is fantastic in this film. I mean, it's Phyllis Diller, how can you go wrong? But she is great in this film. The entire thing makes you laugh. So great. There's a lot of comedic actors in this that was, pretty surprising, but this isn't really played as a horror comedy, although there are some pretty funny parts. The filming of the movie began with a wedding scene between Gordon and Dana that was to become the end of the feature. The scene was never used in the film. This was shot in 5 weeks, and writer-director James Cummins reportedly wrote the part of Gordon Muller with actor James Eusterman in mind for the role. This stars Ed Nelson, Deborah Rose, Norman Fell, James Eusterman, and of course Phyllis Diller, along some other noteworthy characters. But honestly, just find this movie, hunt it down. I promise you will not be disappointed. Absolutely loved this film. For one that wasn't on my radar, I'm really upset. I want to hunt down and see if there is like a Blu-ray of this out there somewhere, because this is definitely going on my list. Hopefully there's commentary and stuff, because I'd love to learn about the behind the scenes, even more behind the scenes of this film, because this thing was honestly an underrated gem in my opinion, and I just had a blast with it. Again, that is The Boneyard, 1991, and this is going to get 4.5 mutant poodles out of 5 because it made me laugh. I enjoyed the practical effects, and even though it was kind of a slow burn in the beginning, it isn't a super long film, so when it picks up, and the pace keeps pretty well from there. Now, a film that I was really, really looking forward to and ended up disappointing me severely. This one I had high hopes for. I had seen the images for a long time. This has been kind of on my radar for a while, and finally I had a Region 2 Blu-ray of it. I of course have a Region free player, and this was also on Shudder, but I watched the Blu-ray of it thinking the updated, maybe the HD will kind of do something for this film. And unfortunately, nothing. So basically, we have a young couple, man and a woman. They approach this brothel, which also doubles as an illegal abortion clinic. While the woman is still debating on whether or not she wants to have the abortion, the young man is all about, like, he can't do this. This is going to ruin his life. We have to abort this baby. And so he convinces her to at least listen to the spiel that the woman performing the abortion is going to go through. And of course, they drug her and they give her the abortion. They throw the aborted feces, they flush the aborted feces down the toilet, and it comes into contact with toxic waste, which revives it and mutates it into a monster, and it proceeds to attack everyone. Okay, sounds like it might be okay. This was also called Sewage Baby. So the suckling, aka Sewage Baby. And I was excited for this. Monster toxic waste kind of deal. I'm all for that. This was terrible. I hated this movie. Like, I did not enjoy it at all. The only thing that had to go was the monster looked pretty cool. Other than that, it was slow pacing. The acting was absolutely terrible. I mean, if this had gone a little bit campy, which, I understand kind of, the material they were working with isn't really one you can go camp with, but there are some things that are played for laughs that just aren't funny. This poor girl goes through this horrendous thing, and then of course her baby comes back to attack everyone, and she gets thrown through the most hellish night of her life. The mutant baby somehow puts this placenta, it wraps the whole building in this placenta-like material so they can't escape. And apparently, if you even get into it, it figures out where you are instantly and hunts you down and kills you. A little bit of gore. I don't remember. That's what sucks. I remember there being, I think the gore that was in it, it was super overload gore, but I don't remember a ton of gory parts. I just remember when there was gore, it was bam, shotgun to the dick, hot tub. time machine. Kind of gore. Like, really just like over the top, extensive, wasn't needed kind of thing. The only character, and this is a spoiler, the only character that you actually like feel genuinely sorry for immediately loses her head and just blood everywhere, and just for me, that's when, you know, everything went downhill from there. I was willing to give it a shot. There were a couple characters where I was like, okay, they're kind of interesting, but they don't really go anywhere. Just this one did nothing for me at all. No, this was just terrible, and I was hoping that, you know, maybe even with the practical effects, it would kind of bring me around, but nope, I can't even give it that. The 99 VHS release box claims The Suckling has been compared to Alien for its claustrophobic intensity and Die Hard for its non-stop action. That's bullshit, because this was an incredibly slow burn that didn't pay off at all. It took writer-director Francis Terry a year and a half to raise the money needed to make the film. The monster suit itself cost $10,000 to make, and miniature fetuses and plastic bottles were made to promote the film. Featured on Best of the Worst Plinketto number 9, January 30th, 2021. Did not enjoy this movie at all. Really stupid. It's just dumb. It stunk. Like, I was highly disappointed. I went in with low expectations, and even with my low expectations, it wasn't worth it. Starring Frank Riviera, Mary Michaels, Gerald Prager, Lisa Pertuno, and Janet Sovey. Don't recognize anyone. Don't recognize those names. Just absolute trash in my opinion. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to even try and watch that ever again to give it a second thought. I was done. Absolute shitfest in my opinion. I will give that half of an aborted fetus, because that's all it was. So out of 5, half of an aborted fetus. A mutant aborted fetus. Just no. And then I tapped into a film that I had never heard of. It's a comedy. It's not a horror, but there are some horror-like elements in it. It is from 1993, and it is called Freaked. A vain actor, his best friend, and an environmental activist end up at a mutant freak farm run by a weirdo scientist and ends up becoming freaks themselves. Shields, William Sadler, Randy Quaid, Alex Winters, and an uncredited role by Keanu Reeves. Keanu plays Otis the dog boy. It's either Otis or Ortiz. I can't remember, but it's Ortiz. That's right. So basically, yeah, Randy Quaid is this guy who runs the freak show. There is Ortiz the dog boy, the horrifying frogman, the bearded lady played by Mr. T, the human worm, and cowboy, who is literally a cow dressed as a cowboy that speaks and does other weird things. And the pinhead. There's a lady, a pinhead lady. I think that's it. There might be one or two more, but I can't quite remember. I thought this movie was really funny. It's played like a parody. It's just over the top and campy and goofy, and I absolutely was all for it. I was in on it 1000%. I thought it was hilarious. I enjoyed it. It gets a lot of shit because, you know, people are like, oh, it's taking advantage of the freak show aspect of it, blah 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 blah. No, it's not. It's not. It's just a comedy movie, and everything works out in the end pretty well. It was really, really funny. Alex Winters, as the main character, does a great job. Just absolutely enjoyed this film. So the basic premise is Alex Winters is this vain TV and movie star, and this chemical company is trying to get him to promote the chemical that has been outlawed in America but is used in Europe and some other countries, especially the like third world, like really poverty-stricken countries and continents and all that stuff. And the reason it's outlawed in America is because it causes mutations and death. And of course, we know that it causes mutations because that's what they end up in this town. They're driving to their destination and decide to stop at the freak show. And, well, they get kidnapped and mutated. The activist and Alex Winter's best friend end up basically becoming Siamese twins, and Alex gets a horrifying disfigurement on half of his face. And that's the film. They have to escape the freak show, basically. I enjoyed it. Again, I thought it was really funny. It wasn't played seriously at all. It was really campy, very parody style, just a lot of puns and jokes that I thought landed pretty well, made me laugh. Keanu Reeves was paid $1 million for his uncredited role as Ortiz the dog boy, and it took me a couple minutes to realize that was Keanu Reeves. I was like, I know that voice, and then I ended up looking at the trivia, and I was like, son of a bitch, that's what it was. The test audience were said to have reacted negatively to the first showings of the completed film. According to Alex Winter on the DVD commentary, many of the younger teen types that made up a majority of the preview crowd were expecting this to be another Bill and Ted movie, and often were vocal to what they were seeing on screen. During a line of dialogue from Brooke Shields in the opening scene, a young male test audience member rose from his seat to yell, "Fuck you, bitch," much to the dismay of the filmmakers present. Alex Winter claims that Mr. T got stressed out and left the set 3 days before before filming was finished. A scab tee was required for one shot. The stand-in can be seen in one of the cage shots during the battle between the huge Stewie and Ricky. Mr. T was unavailable for redubbing the scene with all the milkmen, so Lee Ehrenberg did the voiceover instead. Winter claims that the original producer of the film was fired by the studio for making too many weird movies. I don't even understand that one. Tom Stern and Alex Winter play the two gay yuppie types who leave the freak show upon hearing the disclaimer beforehand that the questionable material may not be suitable for more sensitive audience members. The film's budget was $12 million, which, of course, most of it went to the film's practical and visual effects. Winters claims that the drool and spit coming from his mouth after Ricky gets transformed was real and caused by the makeup, and he drools and spits a ton in this film. And it's gross, and it's funny, and it's just so worth it. A joke cut from the final scene reveals the large garbage bag in Stewie's hand was supposed to be his lunch. In the DVD commentary, the filmmakers claim that it was dismembered remains of Stewie's latest serial killings. That's pretty funny. Stewie he's interesting, is all I'm going to say. The idea for the film came from Alex Winter and Tom Stern's MTV show, The Idiot Box. Winter claims that Alex Zuckerman's ears are not really that big. According to his Instagram, Johnny Knoxville worked as a stand-in and photo double for Keanu Reeves on this film. Due to Keanu Reeves having to be somewhere, Johnny actually appears in the poster as the dog boy character. There is a cool effect. An homage to stop-motion guru Ray Harryhausen can be seen in the effect sequence that first transforms the heroes of the film. You see the Cyclops head from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. That was actually a pretty cool sequence. As of 2020, this is the only film outside of the Bill and Ted franchise to feature both Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves. And There were 3 different visual effects companies which were involved in completing effects film, which of course took up the most of the $12 million budget. Again, this was played for laughs. I thought it was funny. One of those that I hadn't heard of. I can't remember who it was. They posted just a little clip of it on their TikTok, and I was like, what movie is this? And he told me, and I was like, I gotta hunt this down. He was like, when you find it, you'll enjoy it. And they were right. I was blown away by this film. Made me laugh so much. I hadn't laughed like that in a long time. I thought it was super funny. I give Freaked 4 mutant dog boys out of 5. Now let's talk about Nightmare Weekend, made in 1986. A female scientist performs experiments on 3 college girls that turn them into drooling, murderous mutants. This movie sucked. It was horrible. This is not so bad it's good. This is just awful. It's slow pacing. It's basically a sex film until the very last 10 minutes. So like the mutants, the murderous mutants don't even show up until like the last 10 minutes of the film. Other than that, it's mostly them bitching about their lives and screwing people. And not even like in like the softcore porn aspect of screwing, but it's more like, oh, we see some boobs, and then there's some sex off screen, and then there's more talking, and there's more talking, and then there's a little bit of gore, and then there's more talking, and then murderous mutants, and then end of film. And I wasted 90 minutes watching this movie, and I'm really angry that I wasted 90 minutes watching this movie, because this was stupid. Producer Bachu Sen originally asked Norman J. Warren to direct, but Warren turned it down, saying it was just another sex film disguised as a horror movie, and Warren didn't want to go back to sex films, which he had started in his career, which started in 1968. There's really no other behind the scenes info that's even worth sharing, because this movie was that bad. Honestly, I think there is a small cult following for this, and I don't understand why, but this was just terrible to me. Debbie Laster, Dale Midkiff, Deborah Hunter, Laurie Lewis, Preston Maybank. I don't really recognize any of those people. Well, except for one. I think it was Deborah Hunter. I believe I know the name. Let's see what Deborah was in. Oh, nope, sorry. This was the only film she's ever done. Oh, yes. Vinegar Syndrome released a Blu-ray and DVD combo of this in 2017. I don't know why you would do that. I just think that's kind of a waste of time, because this movie was not good, like at all, ever. I was not happy, if you can't tell. I hated this one. But then I found Death Spa from 1988. After the death of his wife, a year after the death of his wife, a gym owner starts hooking up with one of his clients, I guess you would say, one of his gym attendants. This gym is like, it's interesting. The gym is like super technology based, like a computer runs everything, the weights and everything. It runs the lights, the lockers, the steam room, everything. And a year after his wife's death, shit starts to go crazy. A young woman is severely burned in the steam room. A man that is pumping weights ends up, which I don't understand how, he was doing. He was like doing like these butterfly presses. I think that's what they're called. And the thing like started moving back on him, and his rib cage like pops out, which I don't understand how that would happen, because I feel like his arms would break before that happened. But hey, whatever, whatever. It was a decent piece of practical effects. Ken Foree makes an appearance in this, and, Ken Foree, if you are a horror fan, you'll definitely recognize Ken Foree, especially from Dawn of the Dead, the original. When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. I'm not going to spoil what is causing all the craziness. It was super fun, super fun. Lots of nudity, lots of boobs, which I'm not going to complain about boobs. I just wish there was more dick, but whatever. The extras in the shower scene were obtained from a porn casting agency after the original actresses they hired refused to go topless. The film had to be extensively cut in order to avoid an X rating from the MPAA. There is a few pretty gory scenes, and the gore's done pretty well. For the gore scenes, the practical effects is pretty decent. The location used for the health spa was previously a dance studio, which makes sense because there's like a aerobics class going on. The cherry picker was used for the opening Steadicam shot, which was pretty cool. An earlier draft of the script had a red herring janitor character living in the basement of the health spa. And that's pretty much the behind the scenes kind of stuff. This has a pretty decent kill count on it. I had heard, I believe it was the horror show. It was either the horror show or Brain Rot. Oh, I'm gonna have to go and look that up. One of the podcasts I follow, one of the many horror podcasts I follow, did just a quick review on it, and I was like, oh, I have to check this film out. Completely forgot about it until I came across it one day, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane and awesome, and I fucking love it. I was pumped for this. This was so much better than I was expecting. Yeah, there's a review here that says gore that makes up for many shortcomings. Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. I mean, this was cheesy. Definitely cheesy, definitely schlocky, definitely what I was looking for. Death Spa, 1988. William Bumiller, Brenda, I don't know how to say these names. Brenda Bake, Merritt Butrick, Robert Lipton, Alexa Hamilton, of course, Ken Foree, and more. What do I give Death Spa? Oh, I didn't even give Nightmare Weekend. Just on me. I wanted to get away from Nightmare Weekend. I didn't even give a rating for it. Nightmare Weekend gets 0 stars out of anything. It was terrible. I hated it, and I never want to see it again. Common theme for apparently this week's podcast. Death Spa, I'm going to give it 3.5. Ooh, what's the rating system going to be today? This is probably not what anyone wants to listen to, is me trying to figure out the rating system. 3.5. Man, I'm trying to think of like a aerobics or workout kind of joke, but I got nothing. I'm disappointed in myself, and I'm disappointing you guys. So we're gonna say 3.5 dumbbells out of 5. Death Spa, check it out. It's I believe there's some copies on YouTube somewhere. I found it Vudu. It was free to watch. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. Pacing wise, not really slow. It kind of just, it goes at its own pace, and it's not too long, and you just enjoy it, and next thing you know, it's over with. So yeah, that was Death Spa. I currently, I recently found out about a horror writer who, let's start over with that one. I recently found out about a horror writer by the name of Guy N. Smith. Apparently he passed last year due to COVID complications. I've read the synopsis of many of his books. They sound amazing, right up my alley, like that 70s and 80s schlocky monster stuff. I was lucky enough to come across his Killer Crab series, and within 2 days I have finished the first 2 books. They are amazing. I love this series so far. I can't wait to get into the next book and finish the series, and then I'm going to track down his other books, because if it keeps up the same style, I will absolutely love these books. I was thrilled. This Killer Crabs, it's just a great series. Basically, a botanist from London, his nephew and his fiance goes missing, so he goes to this resort area to find them, and we find out that they have been eaten by these gigantic mutant crabs. Well, not even really mutants, they're just gigantic crabs. The military tries to take them out. Gunfire is ineffective, and they just start attacking and eating people. The Guy N. Smith does an amazing job, and I feel like after reading the first 2 books of these, I don't know if this is a common theme in his writing, but I feel like he was dabbling in a little bit of erotica. There's some sex scenes in these books that are pretty damn well written. I don't know if he was testing the waters there or what, but he also does a really good job with the graphic violence from the crabs. Honestly, I love these books, especially for someone who loves like the Meg series and Carnosaurs and just any monster books, Jaws, all that stuff. Like, this one did not disappoint. The first 2, it was first book is Night of the Crabs, and the second book is Killer Crabs, and they were great. I loved them both. Main characters were well written. There is a strange subplot in the second book that I don't know what really had to do with the main plot, but it didn't really detract from it nonetheless, and it was interesting, and it was well written, so it wasn't terrible. No, I really enjoyed these books. I'm going to give Night of the Crabs is going to get 4.5 Killer Crabs out of 5, and Killer Crabs is going to get 4 out of 5. If you can hunt them, if you're able to track them down, I highly recommend it. I really had to look for them. The books are out of print. They're kind of hard to find. You can find some on eBay for outrageous prices. I think thrift books might have a couple. I got lucky, and well, I'm not going to say how I got them, but I got lucky in a way. But I was glad I did. If you are interested in knowing more, just DM me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and I'll help. I'll try and hook you up in some way. And this isn't to detract from the publishers or take money from anything. It's just I reached out to the publishers because I feel like he's kind of getting, well, these books, I think if they were republished, they would sell pretty decently. So I did reach out to the publishers and tried to contact them and let them know, like, hey, if you release these books right now is a good time. Like, they'd probably make a pretty decent chunk of change, but I haven't heard anything back yet. So again, I'm not trying to steal money from them. Well, I'm not really stealing money from them because I'm not paying for anything, and I'm not selling anything of theirs. I'm not trying to say that, or stealing anything. I just the way I tracked them down is just or just leave it at I tracked them down. I'm gonna stop before I say something really bad that sounds like I'm incriminating myself, but it's not. It's not incrimination. I found PDFs of them, like ebook style, and that's how I was able to read them. I'll just say that. I was able to find like ebooks of them. Anyways, I'm gonna shut up. I feel like I'm telling you I did something illegal, but I really didn't. I just tracked down ebooks of them. But anyways, yeah, I feel like if they were republished now, they'd probably make decent chunk of change. And unfortunately, Guy N. Smith did pass away last year due to COVID complications, which sucks because so far I really enjoyed these first two books, and I'm going to finish Killer Crab series and try and hunt down some of his other books. I don't think he had really many ongoing series. I think there was another one which only had a couple books in it, and I will probably track those down and read them, but everything that he's written sounds like up my alley. Just 80s crazy, goofy weirdness, and I'm all for it. Anyways, I'm going to ramble on. This is a long episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate all of your support. You all mean the world to me. With everything that I've been going through lately, like the podcast has been kind of helping me out, kind of just keeping me sane and focused, and I appreciate all your support, all the love everyone has given me. I truly appreciate it. As far as announcements coming, there are some things in the works. Hopefully they work out for the best. I can't really say right now, but as soon as I'm able to, I will have probably a separate announcement, just a quick podcast little thing, maybe just like a 10-minute episode, just kind of saying what's going on. And unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to scrap Nightmares of the Deranged. There's a whole copyright thing going, and I am unable to. I'm trying to get a hold of certain publishers to see if I can read some of these stories without being a trademark or copyright infringement, and so far nothing is looking good. So unfortunately, I think Nightmares of the Deranged is scrapped for now. If anything changes, I will let you know. But I have also decided that if I'm going to continue with it, I'm going to rename it something that kind of fits the overall, like the wraparound series that I want to do around it. I'm going to do a serialized wraparound, kind of like how an anthology has like a thing that leads into it. I've been working on a script on that, and I have a really good idea of what I want to do if it continues. But then again, I might just do a series on my own, and I'll just kind of put pauses when, like, this is where this story would have gone, and this is where this story would have gone. I might do that, but hopefully I can work something out and we can continue and get some stories put out. I'm really hoping that I can work something out. If not, I have a couple other ideas on what I could do, but for now, Nightmares of the Deranged is put on the shelf. Might be going away, might not, but you never know. I could surprise you out of nowhere, but I'm really hoping that I can work something out. Anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. That's supposed to be fetus, not feces.